Hey guys, Tesla here. This is the second video for Proficiency class pack. And if you have not seen the first one, I have the link in the video description. This is not a class pack or mod review. This is just me sharing what I enjoy about this class pack. I shared about the healer in the last video, which is the field medic. Shouldn't call it a healer, sounds like an MMORPG or something. So now let's get into the class that is more than likely will need healing on every single mission due to how up close and personal the playstyle is, the Assault Infantry. So if you look at the description here that Shayes came up with, a dominating force in close quarters combat, the resilient and aggressive Assault Infantry specializes in taking and holding ground, right? It can use shotguns or bullpups and swords or combat knives. So shotguns and bullpups for primary, swords or combat knives for secondary. It's basically the replacement for the base game Ranger class, but with more interesting mechanics and without the Blade Storm and Reaper shenanigans, which I think are too OP for the game, especially in the late game. And so let's start with my favorite loadout for Assault Infantry. Shotgun for primary, they can carry bullpup, but I think they are better with shotguns. Sword for secondary, they can carry combat knife, but swords have better damage with mobility penalty with some perks. We'll go into detail about that. And assuming I can carry 2 utility items, I would take talent rounds and flashbang. If you are using cut content ammo mod, which I'll try to link in the video description below if I don't forget, needle rounds from that mod are super effective for Assault Infantry. So if you're running that mod, you can use needle rounds instead of talent rounds. But if you use weapon and item overhaul mod, it's another mod from Shire, who is the mod author for Proficiency class pack. I suggest you stick with talent rounds. That mod nerfs shotgun by a little bit, and you are better off sticking with talent rounds, right? I plan to have a specific video for WIO, short for weapon and item overhaul, so make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss out on that video. With the loadout in mind, let me just repeat the loadout again. So shotgun for primary, sword for secondary, and 2 utility items, talent rounds, and flashbang, right? So let's get into my favorite perks. So the first one, okay, so Assault Infantry is a bit unique compared to Field Medic that I shared in my first video. There are 2 builds that you can come up with. One emphasizing on melee, basically sword or combat knife, and the other one emphasizing on shotgun, right? Of course, you have limited soldier AP, so you can't basically take everything. But if you do have a lot of AP, then I guess you could take everything. But assuming that you have limited AP, you can focus on either melee or shotgun to make them more effective. And then I'll talk about which perk benefits which build, and then you can make your own decision as to whether you want to go with melee build or shotgun build. Now let's look at copper rank. So I would take Hone Edge for bonus melee aim, right? Obviously this is for melee build, and then the second option would be prep for entry. You can ignore, obviously you can ignore this one if you're going for the shotgun build. Prep for entry would be the priority for shotgun build. Zone of Control is really good, but it needs higher rank perks to really shine. In early game, I suggest you either go with Prep for Entry or Hone Edge, depending on whether you want to go with shotgun or melee. Keep this for later. It's okay to double back for Zone of Control later on once you have gotten all the higher tier perks, right? So let's move on to Sergeant. So Breakthrough for melee build is the number 1 pick. That one's easy. Breaching Maneuver for shotgun build, but it does also work with melee build, so it's a good second choice for melee build. Okay, so let me just repeat that. If you're going with melee build, take this one first. if you have extra soldier AP or extra XCOM AP, then you can also take this one. But if you're gonna go with shotgun build, I suggest to stick with breaching maneuver. Deep reserves is nice, right? But it's only useful when run and gun is used. So if you use a lot of run and gun, then you, I guess you can take this. But I try not to rely much on run and gun, as it will limit what I can do with Assault Infantry. With Proficiency, there are other options that you can, there are other options for you to make use of Assault Infantry, not just run and gun, right? So let's move on to Lieutenant. This one is an easy rank. Combatives for melee build, and then battery ram for shotgun. Lightning reflexes, it looks super good on paper, and I don't know why I took it in this for this soldier. I think it's my only soldier running shotgun build. But the fact is there are other ways to break Overwatch, like you can get a sapper to launch grenades, or you can get a marksman to snipe the enemy that is on Overwatch, or you could just run for it and hope for the best. You'll be fine. Famous last words. Keep in mind that combatives, if I'm not mistaken, is only, yeah, you will only parry the first melee attack against you in a turn if you're not impaired, right? So it's only once per turn, so don't dangle your Assault Infantry in front of 20 chrysalids. I think he'll die, right? So let's move on to Captain. This is the most fun rank, in my opinion, for Assault Infantry. So shock and maul is a must. You that this should be your priority, shock and maul, right? What it does is you could play it this way. So based on the perks that we talked earlier, right? You could do a blue move or get close enough to the enemy using a blue move or using run and gun, and then prep for entry, which will make it so that throwing a flashbang is free action, and you can either slash or shoot the enemy depending on your preference, whether you want to go with melee build or shotgun build. But basically, doing either way will get you free damage. So deal +1 damage to stun or disoriented targets, and additional +1 damage to the targets also within the Assault Infantry CQB dominance radius. So you need to get very close to the enemy, right? Don't do a super, I don't know, sniping shotgun bullshit. But you won't get this +1 damage because of CQB, right? I think I covered it. Okay, so there's one more thing. So it's a huge damage boost, right? So you could get +2, but at the same time, if you're running this class without WIO mod, which is the weapon and item overhaul mod, it is super OP because the damage potential is just a lot. It's very high. Yeah, and then if you look at the other skills, Killer Instinct is good for, yeah, Killer Instinct damage bonus applies to attacks with either the primary or secondary weapon. This one is good as well. Gives you more damage, right, when you activate run and gun. So you could do something like get close to the enemy using run and gun, right? So that will trigger Killer Instinct, and then prep for entry through a flashbang, and when you shoot or when you slash, that should trigger shock and maul as well. So in total you'll get +1 and then +2 from shock and maul, so that's +3, and then +25% total damage on critical hits. So in the base game, if you are not running WIO, this is a lot of damage. With WIO, it's a lot less. And then if you have Ruthless, deal +1 damage and get 30% chance to score critical hit on all melee attacks. So I guess if you take all three, melee will do more damage. That's my observation. So typically, if I have the extra points like what I have right now, with my melee assault infantry, I would take all 3 because the damage is just too much to ignore. So that's what it is, right? So when you get to captain, you'll notice that your damage will just skyrocket. It's like suddenly you can one shot most enemy units. Okay. Now on major, untouchable is a must. It's too good to pass up, and especially so when you're dealing with many enemies on the screen, right? Concussion grenades is a close second. It gives you more grenade charges, so that's useful. Remember the flashbang I was talking about earlier? You get more flashbangs, and you can use. There's more use for your prep for entry because you have more flashbangs to throw, right? I've seen other playstyle where instead of using flashbang, the player or the streamer was using plasma grenade. So it's used to remove cover. So run up close, throw a plasma grenade, remove cover, and then shotgun to death. So that's another playstyle that you can think of. Yeah. Wonder if I covered everything. So that's untouchable and concussion grenade. Zone defense. All right. Zone defense, I don't play with this much, but I guess this is more useful for shotgun build. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Limited by available ammo, right? So it's boosted by zone of control, the one over here, right? So you have to keep that in mind. Works very, very well with Ever Vigilant if you're lucky enough to get that in your 4th row. So you could end the turn with a yellow move, which triggers Ever Vigilant, and that puts you on Overwatch. And once you are on Overwatch, you're gonna start shooting everything that enters into your CQB dominance zone, right? Again, it's mainly for non-melee build. So if you're going for shotgun build, I guess this is worthwhile. But the use is rather limited unless you're surrounded by enemies, right? I guess that's why it can come in. But the synergy is super cool, so I wouldn't discount it. If you give it a try and then you find that it's very useful for you, then that's nice. So far, I would rather spend the points on something else, right? But yeah, so if you're going for shotgun build, I guess zone defense would be quite good. Right, let's move on to the last rank. Okay, so this rank is super confusing, honestly. So sweep and clear is always my first pick as it stacks with breaching maneuver, and if you combine this with relentless, right, for a melee build, you could. Here's what you can do. You can get close to the enemy, right? Trigger your run and gun, or just do a blue move, and then do a prep for entry, throw flashbang, kill the enemy with a slash, right? And then you can still slash another enemy and run to safety after that. So it's almost like a Reaper, but not as OP like Reaper, right? Because the maximum times you can slash is, I think, 2 times or maybe 3. I can't remember exactly how it works. You can give it a try. It's a very interesting mechanic. It makes you go like, what the hell just happened? I can do another shot. I can slash another time. So it's interesting that way. And then Roving Warrior, right? It works very. It's basically the shotgun version of Relentless. That's what it is, right? So you could potentially activate run and gun, so get close to the enemy. You shoot. Sorry, so you activate run and gun, don't move yet, right? And then you shoot. Because Roving Warrior, it makes it so that standard shots no longer end your turn when run and gun is activated. So activate run and gun, and then you can shoot, assuming the enemy is close enough. Then you can move, right? Because it doesn't end your turn. And then when you move, Because run and gun is activated, so you still have an extra action point to shoot, so you can shoot again. And it can stack with sweep and clear. So if you manage to get a kill with any of the shots, and the enemy must be disoriented, by the way, and then you are granted with a non-movement action point, so that means you can shoot again or you can slash. Okay, I hope that's not so confusing. You have to give it a try, but my advice is basically sweep and clear is a must, and then you can either go with roving warrior or melee or relentless, depending on whether you're running melee or shotgun build, right? Either one works fine, or if you can afford it, take both. But if you take both, then likely, if you take relentless, then likely you need the rest as well to get the full bonus. So yeah, that's what it is. It's a bit confused. It's not, once you understand it, it's not too confusing, but you do lose track of what you can and cannot do before your turn ends. You're not sure whether if I do this, is it going to turn my end? Is it going to end my turn, or is it going to allow me to do something else after that? That's the only part that gets confusing. So that wraps it up for Assault Infantry. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. Like this video if you like it, and do not forget to subscribe for more content like this. Good luck, Commander.